So in a 2-week span, the American left has opposed Somali fraud investigations, calling billions of dollars stolen from our taxpayer dollars racism. They have ignored Iranian freedom protests, haven't said a lick about it, even though they were all about freeing Palestine, freeing Palestine. What about the, 10 other countries begging and pleading for your help? And now they are defending an actual dictator when just a few months ago they were all about having no kings. So in all actuality, my question is, what does the American left stand for today? It seems like the left right now, when it comes to politics, especially with Trump, it's propose nothing, oppose everything. Because one day Trump is going to leave. He's not going to be president forever. And what work will the American left have to show for what they were doing behind the scenes of his presidency, besides just arguing every single thing that he did, even if what he did was something that you claimed to stand for just 6 weeks ago? I mean, in just 3 days, you go from wanting to be savior of the damned, and then you're mad at Trump for liberating Venezuela because it's not the way you would have done it. You can't base American politics off of let's attack our opponent the entire time they're in office and just hope something sticks. You did it his last term, you're doing it this term, and honestly, it's not getting you very far. Because right now you look like a bunch of hypocritical, spoiled brats, right? The way that you are telling people in a country that have actually lived under a dictatorship how to feel. No, you should be upset about this. You hate Trump that much that you're going to invalidate someone's experience in a home that's not yours and tell them how to feel about something that they lived through and not you.
Exactly.
What do you have to show for what you have done the past few years, besides fighting, complaining, kicking, and screaming?
What you're watching isn't a scandal. It's a total collapse. And it starts with how Democrats decided to do politics. It's a shame, if I might add that myself. Now, this right here is the blueprint. No plan, no future, just oppose Trump at all costs and hope nobody asks. Okay, but what do you actually stand for is what I think she was getting at. This works on Twitter. It don't work with real money, real families, and real accountability, especially when they decide to show up. But once you train people to ignore reality, reality eventually sends the bill.
Community to start up small clinics and care for their children, because I have a waiting list of 5 years and I certainly can't take all their children. And I do service quite a few Somali children. And at one point, we went and looked at a few of their clinics. My staff did, not me personally, and we decided we didn't want to affiliate with them. And I got written up in a blog as being racist.
Really?
So anytime you go out and yes, and that was years ago. That was a few years ago. Anytime, it's a fear of every Minnesotan. We are good, honest, hardworking people, and we don't want to be called racist because we're not. I mean, for the most part, Minnesota's a beautiful, wonderful place, and Minnesota Nice is actually pretty accurate in that respect. But it is a fear of Minnesotans that if you go up against the Somalis, you're immediately racist.
And so therefore you have to tolerate fraud, which seems to be at least at a minimum the motivation for many people involved, from politicians to others, in overlooking what was something that amounted to nothing less than theft.
Here's the bill. Autistic kids lose care, 120 jobs gone, 20-year clinic gets wiped out. Not because they committed fraud, but because the system was too scared to deal with who actually did. That's crazy, right? And if you're wondering why no one stopped this sooner, here's your answer.
People engage with that.
It feels more trustworthy than the news to a lot of people.
It does, and I can't quite I have my own problems with the media and all of that. Sure. And that's, I said in a video this morning, now I can kind of be let loose, and I definitely want to have some of those conversations going forward.
Yeah.
But I do, I definitely think people see somebody and they're like, oh, this person's, I see myself in them, and so I'm going to believe them. And that is what people definitely see in me. I think then that's an ethical thing on his end. You can't just go and do this to people. I don't know.
Yeah, but
in communities.
But I watch it. I haven't watched the whole video like you. I've watched a lot of clips on there because he's posting a lot of them. But the style of it, I watch it. I'm like, oh no, like this is my style. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And like here I am, like feeling like what I'm doing is a good thing, but then it can be used. So easily. To
and
do
there's
really
no like
terrible
checks
harm.
and balances on content, or not many, and just social media in general.
This might be the most revealing clip in this entire story. Notice what she's really saying. Fraud isn't the problem, exposure is. And that mindset, that's a fatal mistake. Because once people realize you care more about optics than victims, guess what? They stop believing you. All I can say to that is how convenient, right? That these videos decide to pop up now. This is what happens when the official story collapses. When your defense turns into a parody, the public already knows you're lying. But jokes don't end administrations. Receipts do. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on a big screen for y'all. Yep. Go ahead and pause it if you need to. Money transfer receipts right here. Let me go ahead and read the caption that's attached to this real quick. It says, OMG, Somali's Minister of Foreign Affairs, who owns a healthcare company in Ohio receiving tax dollars, also owns a LLC with the same address as the Somali money transfer org, accused of funding terrorism. His business partner appears to work for the money transfer org too. This just keeps getting worse. Same addresses, same names, same paper trail, y'all. Maybe I have to come out for this one real quick for y'all to be able to see that. This isn't a conspiracy. This is documentation. And then someone decided to drive by. Oh, wow. There it is. Every scandal has that moment right there. It does. When cameras show up and the story falls apart in real time. That was proof. That's when Tim Walz stopped all the explaining and started all of the panicking.
Without having to spend any time worrying about the politics of this, I'm going to fight it, making sure that Minnesotans are cared for. I'm going to fight it by doing the respect that we should have for rule of law. So I just think all of you see this. It is just going to be relentless. Why 2,000 folks? What are they coming? Do they want to coordinate with us? You saw a U.S. attorney stand up, which would have been let go by any other administration, speculating about things with no factual information. That's defamation. That's coming from the attorney. We are under assault like no other time in our state's history because of a petty, vile administration that doesn't care about the well-being of Minnesotans. My job is to protect the well-being of Minnesotans. So the good news on this is Republicans are sure they're going to lose the governor's race dramatically. That's fine by me. I don't care who sits in this seat as long as it's not one of them who hurt Minnesotans. I care that it's somebody who understands and respects this office. Yeah.
Innocent leaders welcome investigations. Guilty ones attack investigators. And guilty systems do too. Look, you don't fire a whistleblower unless you're afraid of what he's blowing. No diddy. And when but that's when Minnesota stopped being in charge. My God, Tom Homan.
Well, first of all, the operation, yeah, I'm extremely happy. And this just come as no surprise to the American people. You and I spoke months ago. I made a promise that we will flood the zone of every sanctuary city in this country as bringing thousands of more agents, 10,000 more agents because of the big, beautiful bill. Why Minneapolis? Why are they being prioritized right now? Because billions of dollars fraud has been uncovered. And what they need to be concerned with, Tim Walz says he's not going anywhere. Well, either am I. Either is President Trump. Either is Pam Bondi. Either is Kristi Noem. So we're there because of the priority census, right? But that show is going on the road. So if the Democrats are having a fit now, you better get counseling, because this is about to get a hell of a lot bigger throughout this nation. That show is going on the road. I actually think Minneapolis is the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to find a hell of a lot more in Illinois, New York, California. We'll see. But this operation will go nationwide. We're going to keep our promise. And because President Trump is sitting in the Oval Office, every American can put their head on the pillow tonight, knowing the Border Patrol is on that border, stopping all threats coming across. Most secure border in history of this nation. ICE agents and FBI agents are working 24/7, 365, every hour of every day, taking public safety threats and national security threats off our streets. Sleep well, America, because we're keeping America safer. So we're doing exactly Minnesota what we're going to do nationwide, which you and I talked about, Sean. We're keeping President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safe again, one city at a time, one criminal alien at a time.
Oh, my God, Tom Homan woke up like, yo, y'all gonna FAFO today. This is the moment the state narrative dies, right? When the federal government says, we're not leaving. And now, watch how this spreads beyond Minnesota, y'all.
So Muslims are saying they're going to take over the United States, and I'm not really sure when the liberals are going to take it serious, but it's real.
The future is ours. Every ideal nightmare of a Muslim Europe will come true. They can be as mad as they want. I don't care. America will be a Muslim country. Russia will be a Muslim country. Islam will enter every house. We're unapologetic. Never, ever compromise.
Sounds great, doesn't it? Sharia law across America. Democrats think this is a game. They think it's racist if you call this out. You notice Christians aren't the ones saying, if you're not Christian, you gotta go. We're taking over. The whole thing will become Christian. Sure, they try to persuade people to become a Christian and to believe in Jesus for the betterment of society. Even the message of just doing good and being a good person and living a good life is a big benefit to society. When you bring in a religion that says they hate certain groups, they hate certain races, they want to take over everything and force you to be their religion, that's not a religion, that's a cult. That's a way of life. So you think it's bad that Trump supporters voted for a president they thought we could do stuff for this country, right? But you guys are sitting back and won't say a thing about Muslims that want to come to this country and literally take out everyone in their way to make sure the United States becomes fully Muslim. You guys got to wake up soon, man. Liberals are so soft on everything now, they just won't call anything out because it's racist. Let's be real here. This is not good for this country. Everyone should think that this is a threat.
This is the aftershock. When people stop trusting institutions, they start reacting emotionally. That's what, happens when leaders refuse to draw lines early. That delay, it costs. And in Minnesota, the anger, it didn't stay online for too long.
God knows that you cheated, hell on Omar. In Minnesota, follow Jesus, okay? He's the Lord of the heavens and the earth. Stop working for the deep state. God sent me to you today to speak that into your ears. He's seen all the evil that you've done. And your deep state cult that you're a part of wasn't powerful enough to stop Donald John Trump and the MAGA way, hell on. You're going to reap what you sow.
Whew. This isn't about agreeing
God
with...
knows that you cheated, hell on.
This isn't about agreeing with how this was done. It's about understanding why it happened. Because unresolved corruption, it doesn't disappear, y'all. It quite literally mutates.
And make regime change really does not help the people of countries like Venezuela, and it certainly does not help, and it's not in the interest of the United States
For Ilhan Omar to make comments about a regime change is wild considering her family's history, and I figured not enough people know about her family's history. So let's recap. Her dad and her grandfather were both high-ranking military officials to the Bar regime, which killed over 200,000 people. They're most famous for the Isaac genocide, and they were like, it was the worst of the worst. Aerial bombings, executions, man-made famine. People massively suffered under this regime with the help of people like Ilhan Omar's family, who supported the regime and carried out this horror. Also, you want to know how Barr started out? As a socialist and then became a murderous dictator. I digress. They have family ties to this guy known as the Butcher of Hargeisa, and his whole shtick was kill all but the crows. So I don't know about you, but I've never been in public or at a public gathering with a butcher of people. So the suffering of the people of Somalia was so bad that there was a civil war and the regime was overthrown. Her family fled to first Kenya and then Minnesota, claiming they're like these asylum seekers, these poor people. No. They were fleeing to escape being held accountable for what they did. She was not oppressed. Her family, they were the oppressors. So for the Democratic Party to have her as a representative is insane to me. Like, that's who you want your party to represent. That's who you want to represent your party? Really? And the way that they've like rebranded her as, oh, this poor refugee. No, she wasn't a refugee of war. Her family created the war.
Context matters, y'all. History matters. And when leaders pretend it doesn't, people go digging on their own, rightfully so. What you just watched isn't about Tim Walz, Ilhan, and it's not really about Minnesota either. It's about what happens when leaders convince themselves that intentions matter more than outcomes, that labels, they matter more than the actual truth, and that silence is safer than honesty. That's the fatal mistake. That's the fatal mistake here. Because fraud doesn't grow in loud places. It grows where people are scared to speak, in them quiet corners, where accountability gets rebranded as harm. Not only that, asking questions make you the villain. Minnesota didn't suddenly become racist. They didn't suddenly become angry. They didn't suddenly change overnight. They just ran out of patience. Parents watching their kids lose care, workers watching their jobs disappear, taxpayers watching billions vanish while being told to sit down, shut up, and ultimately, hey, yo, shh, stop noticing. What you're seeing isn't what you're seeing. And when the people realize the system cares more about protecting itself than protecting them, it's obviously, when the tone changes. That's when jokes turn into investigations, when satire turns into subpoenas, and when the federal government steps in. Not because it wants to, but because it has to. That's what collapse actually looks like before the headlines catch up. Not riots, not chaos, just a moment where the public stops believing what they're told. And from there, they start believing what they can actually see. So Minnesota didn't turn on Tim Walz. The illusion turned on him. And once illusions break, it doesn't get patched. It gets replaced. So if you stay for the whole breakdown of this video, comment fatal. Not for the algorithm, for me. I want to know who actually understands what's happening here. In addition to that, I want y'all to get ready for the next video. We're about to get ready to talk about what's happening also in Minneapolis with, the shooting, and Tim Walz having a very simple message for the government, a warning or a threat or whatever you want to call it. That's coming next up in a few. Y'all be safe. Go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.